The most important part about this park is it's going to tell the history of Edmonton, because, we tend to lose a lot of history as time goes on, right? And people change, cultures, there's new cultures, and it changes it too, right? So, and this park will really tell the story.
I wanted to make a piece that was about the language and the importance of language, but also really about Indigenous women, to represent and to honor Indigenous women.
Our name is derived from the sound of the birds in our homeland. So it was the robin. So the sound of the robin was Dzawada'enuxw, and so we were then called the Dzawada'enuxw. And I was thinking about that when I was seeing all the magpies flying around here. And I thought, oh, those are very beautiful birds. And then I thought, I guess every place has its particular presence, and it will have its own particular sound.
I have tried to capture a few different creatures that had lived in this area from the past 67 million years, over 100 million years, up until the present. The creatures that I have chosen are indicative of the life cycle and the cycle of trophic cascade that has occurred that is unique to their period in history. So, for example, with the dinosaur era, there's a hadrosaur and the Albertosaurus, or also known as Gorgosaurus, predator and prey. And then fast forward several million years, and you have the coyote and the hare, which are featured as bronzes. So there's a bronze coyote sitting on top of this large red piece of granite, as well as, and then the bronze hare, which is lying behind the granite where the coyote can't see.
I really wanted to pay honor to the process that was created by the Edmonton Arts Council with the curator Candace Hopkins about this idea of gathering around this place. And there were lots of stories that talk about the people that came through this area and continue to come through this area, and I wanted to really make a mark of that specifically. And so what I've done is I've created amphitheater-style seating, 4 steps, and then it is connected to a sacred circle at the base. And so for me, it's really about Métis culture coming together with the European seating and the sacred circle stemming from Indigenous people. And the 4 steps all relate to different periods of time. So the top step is really to prehistoric time. The 3rd step, it is really to mark the fort era. So it has wood on the surface, and it's to really remind you of the forts, but also Métis cabins. And so at the corner is a dovetail-like joint, which is Métis specific. And the 3rd step, it's related to our contemporary time. So I have water jet cut a beading pattern by my great-grandmother, as she was a moccasin maker, out of this Corten steel. And the 4th step, which is the last step at the bottom, it's about our future condition. And I'm really interested in where are Indigenous people going today and tomorrow? What materials are we using? And so it is a polished mirror steel. So it's reflecting yourself and also reflecting your environment, which is the park itself. When you're sitting or standing at the tallest step, you have the greatest view. You actually have this vista into the downtown Edmonton core, and you have this beautiful river valley in front of you. And I think that's where you have the greatest perspective. But when you're sitting down at the closest step, which is the future condition, you sort of have the most limited view, so you can really only see too far into the future. And so for me, it's not only just about how you think or do, it's really about your kind of vista and how far you're really able to see. So even though you're far back in history, you can see the perspective, but you can't have the voice. And when you're in the future, you have the voice, but you don't have the vista.
So the piece that I've made is called iskotew, and iskotew in the Cree language means fire. It's a very large steel sculpture done in syllabics. The largest syllabics are 6 feet high, and the smaller size syllabics are 3 feet high. I chose to do syllabics because I thought it was very important to convey the relationship between Indigenous language and land. Indigenous languages come from the land. And so for me, I thought it was really important to make visible in the landscape of Edmonton that connection. And I chose Cree because that is my language, and I think it's really important to make our languages visible here. And though it's my language, I'm not fluent in it. And so with this work, I'm really hoping that it can be a catalyst so that we see more Indigenous languages throughout the city, whether it's Cree, Nakota, Michif, Saulteaux. I think there needs to be more of it made visible.
My work at the park, I created 2 concrete turtles. Since it's like an island in the park, and I was kind of thinking of the turtles as Turtle Island. The design I started off with, like, I'm working with the Miskochi Academy here. What I did is I included their logo on the baby turtle. I wanted to dedicate that turtle to them, right? Because they're the next group of people that are going to be doing stuff. The second turtle, I put a sweat lodge on top of the turtle, and then everything around it. I put a woodpecker, which signifies the Papache's people and their history in the area. And then there's, on the west side, I put a thunderbird with the creation of the earth, holding the earth, because it was Jerry Saddleback telling us about the creation story. And on the north side, I put the riverbank, the sediments. That was because of Dr. Duane Donald. He told us about the history of that area, the riverbank and the arrowheads, the layers. We're going to put a beaver on that side, a real colorful beaver. The reason why we're making them colorful is because Edmonton is full of, different nationalities. On the bottom, I put a bunch of dancers, all the people that started the whole place out here.
What I created was a rock face, and the images that are incised on that rock face are petroglyph-like in that they're carved into that rock face. They're carved in as circles, so they also imitate beadwork, which is also a common denominator amongst different nations. So many, many different nations use beadwork, including my own nation. Even though we're coastal, we use beadwork as well. And so I thought that would be a good medium to kind of recognize. So it looks like beadwork, and it shows different images that are derived from different histories. I talked to different elders, and they talked about different subjects and approved what could be on this rock face that would be representative. So that's what the work is about. And the work faces the river and looks across to where the city of Edmonton is the downtown core.